Hi, everyone. Welcome back for episode 58 of the Simply One podcast. I'm your host, Colin, and I'm joined by my co-host, Chris.
How we doing, everybody?
We're just a couple of best friends who are passionate about all things pop culture. If you're looking for lukewarm takes on movies, video games, TV shows, or even the occasional comic, then we've got the show for you.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
No, hey,
Look,
it's not wrong.
nuh-uh.
It's right.
All facts, no printer.
So, we fucked up.
Meh.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends.
I consider this a win. In my book.
The spoilers.
Well, I mean, it was still on the list of what we needed to see, so.
That's fair. We still ticked something off. Either way, we Easter weekend got in the way. We didn't get to go see Super Mario Brothers. Mm-mm. So instead, we watched Tetris on Apple TV Plus with Taron Egerton. I was getting ready to just give my review real quick there. I had to go, oh, wait, that's something we do later in the show.
Yeah, but
yeah.
first.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. No, I've got it all written right here. Mm-hmm. Before we give our thoughts on that shit, we have to talk about the new potential PlayStation controller of the future.
Oh.
Do you see about that?
No.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Harry Potter is getting the HBO treatment.
Okay, I did hear about that.
Trailers for both Across the Spider-Verse and Barbie. DC found its writer for Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay.
And all of the news that we got out of Star Wars Celebration.
Yes.
So,
fun fact, they actually called me Swamp Thing in high school.
Look out, everybody. Here comes Swamp Thing. You just got a fucking pack of cats following you around, meowing. Or you can't stop for too long or they'll start eating through your jeans.
That is horrendous. That is foul.
You just look like Linus from the fucking Peanuts. You just got dust and dirt flying
Stink
around
lines.
you. Yeah. If you're ready, let's jump into it.
Let's hop right in.
All right, so starting with the patent here. So Sony registered a patent for a controller that is capable of changing temperature based on player actions and gameplay. The patent lists a few concepts that would, quote, enrich haptic experiences, which, you know, they've kind of been leaning into the haptic feedback on their controllers. So you figure like the pressure sensitive controllers where it like changes resistance and things like that to kind of simulate
like pulling back a bow and arrow.
Pulling back the bow and arrow, and then like on some of the shooters, it'll like click back at your finger like the kickback of the gun, things like that, right? Well, so so like I said, it would, quote, enrich haptic experiences, end quote, with the help of a soft, quote, elastically deformable sensor component.
What'd you call me?
You heard me. So the example here is if placed that elastic material, if placed on the front of a pad, the sensor would detect when the player is deforming the controller by twisting it, rubbing it, crushing it, or pressing on it. It's like bop it. And then the temperature control apparatus would allow the controller to become hotter or colder depending on the player's actions and most likely gameplay scenarios. And the patent offers the example of, quote, the temperature control apparatus may be controlled such that the larger the amount of deformation, so twisting, crushing, whatever on the controller, the higher the temperature becomes. This allows the user to feel the temperature change corresponding to deformation. Another advanced feature proposed in the patent is the potential of using a combination of, quote, magnetic fluid and electric/magnetic fields to change the shape and hardness of the soft parts of the theoretical controller.
Oh, that sounds kind of trippy.
Yeah. And now, obviously, this is like way off from being like a real controller.
Right.
But the fact that these are all ideas that they're like at least intrigued enough with them that like, we're going to go ahead and patent
this is something that we think we can do.
Yeah. And it might never make it out where they just, we just can't make that part work. But I think there's aspects to that definitely have promise.
No.
Like, I think the temperature control is a really neat idea.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would do that, but that's not my job.
You have to find something where it can withstand the heat.
Right. Well, and you don't want it to like, what if there's a flaw that it overheats,
right,
and it's burning
cool
people,
down.
or
how would you cool it
how
down?
do you cool it down? Right. Yeah. Do you put fans in it? I don't know how that works. Right. And how do you, like, what does the battery life look like on this controller? Right. You know what I mean? I do like the idea of pieces of it being, like, parts of the controller being elastic. On the diagrams, it kind of looked like the parts where you would put your hands, the little sticky out parts would be that elastic deformable that you could squish it and stuff. So like maybe when you're, I don't know how you'd work it into like puzzles or different gameplay mechanics. You squish the controller to do things. I don't know, right? You know, yeah, I know that they've always been kind of like, well, we've got the little swipe pad that you can use to do stuff with, things like that. Different ways that they can try and emulate
more
the stuff you're doing. Yeah, exactly. Might be a little gimmicky, but I think it's interesting that they're, at least taking swings.
I would say I think it's worth a shot at least.
Yeah. The rest of our news is pretty slim until we get to the Star Wars Celebration, so it's kind of a quick shot through here. So I mentioned the Harry Potter treatment, or the HBO treatment on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So Bloomberg has reported that a Harry Potter series is, quote, nearing a deal, and that comes from one of their sources that is, quote, near to the scenario, the situation.
Okay.
So,
what's the motherfucker situation?
what's the situation? So HBO would cover a single book per season is the concept. The fuck was that?
It's a lot. It's a lot to cover, man.
Well, that's why they're doing a book per season.
All right.
That's kind of what they did with Game of Thrones as well, to an extent.
I still gotta watch that.
Yeah. Other publications, such as IGN, were stating that their sources are saying that the deal's not anywhere near finished, but they do all seem to agree that, like, this is something that's being heard.
Okay.
Like, whether it's like Bloomberg saying where, oh shit, like any day now we're going to get the announcement, or like IGN saying, I don't think it's that close.
Yeah, it's not there, but
they all agree that, no, that is something that's being talked about.
Yeah.
And I've seen other statements that, like, J.K. Rowling would be on board, but only in an executive producer role. She's not going to be, like, writing the show or anything like that. But so who knows? She's got big monies.
Yeah.
But
if you got money, you got power.
Mm-hmm. If you got power, you got bitches.
And I still got no bitches.
Proverbs 3:15. If you got power. If you got money, you got power. If you got power, you got bitches. And the Lord deemed it so. No, I'm interested. I mean, but
I'm curious of how they're going to be. Because I'm not going to lie, like Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter to me.
Yeah.
Like there's no one else.
Well, that's the hard part, right? Is like, I think it runs into the same thing of like the Lord of the Rings getting new movies. Those are all pretty iconic films. I don't know how you...
That's the problem that we run into.
Yeah. So I don't know how... I mean, you run into the issue of like Elijah Wood is Frodo, and like those are all good movies.
Sure.
And they're all held to high enough esteem that like it feels like you're setting yourself up for disappointing people.
Yeah.
And I think the fans of I almost said Star Wars, of Harry Potter, hold those movies really closely.
Yeah.
And I don't know how.
Yeah, you're not just like naturally a Potter fan.
Right, yeah.
Like you're a diehard Potter fan.
Yeah. Yeah, most people aren't like, they're.
Yeah,
people are either like, they're all right, or Harry Potter is my blood source. Come tonight. No, so I don't know, man. I think that's a big swing.
Yeah, I like
if
to see
it
how
happens,
it goes.
I mean, I'll take a peek at it, but I've seen memes of like it being just over sexualized. Are you scared, Potter? And he's like, yes, Daddy Draco, I am.
Oh my God.
It's like, Ingardio.
Just trying to give me a piece of that Weasley, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. Anyways, there was a Barbie trailer.
Yeah, there was, and I just watched it.
Yeah, like literally just now, because you're like, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
It was pretty good.
It was pretty, I liked it a lot. It was, I liked...
There's a lot of famous people in it.
Yeah, there was Will Ferrell, I noticed, and
yeah.
Someone else, I can't remember their name.
Simu Liu was in there.
Yes.
Which I knew that he had a role, but I didn't really... It seems like he's going to have...
Kind of like
a larger
maybe
role.
the main antagonist of
Ken's, yeah.
Which I'd be excited to see that. Mm-hmm. But I liked how
and Michael Cera was in there.
Yeah, I liked how fake. Like it seemed like when she stepped out of the heels, her feet were still like that, like the Barbie dolls.
Yeah.
Or when like the car itself looks very fake, like they're too big
and she's
for it.
not touching. She's looking around as she's driving and just going straight. So it really does seem like it'll be they are literally the toys.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a Toy Story thing.
What if Andy's coming?
And Will Ferrell. So I'm thinking like, is Will Ferrell like? He looks like he's an executive person, right? And so it's like, is this going to become meta?
I figured out that, or he's the mayor.
I don't know. No, it seems like he's
antagonist.
It looks like, because it seems like they're going to the real world, and that's why Ken is like, I'm coming with you, Barbie, And so I don't know what the hell's going on there, but I wonder if it's going to become a bit meta of like Barbie comes out and they want to make her a movie or whatever. You know what I mean?
That'd be pretty interesting.
But I did like seeing all the different Kens. And there's that fun little joke that 21 Jump Street did already of beat you off with both hands. Yeah, I'll beat you off. I'll beat you both off. But they're talking about a beach off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll beat you both off.
Like, And Barbie, no one will be beaching anybody off. And you're like,
why am I here? Why am I paying this money?
And I like when he's in the back, or when he says, "I thought I'd stay the night tonight." She's like, "Why?" And he's like,
"Because we're boyfriend and girlfriend."
Because we're girlfriend boyfriend. But he doesn't say the D's. Because we're girlfriend boyfriend.
Because we're girlfriend boyfriend.
And she's like, "And do what?" And he's like,
"I have no idea.
I honestly have no idea." So I do want, like, if that's just little girls playing with him, and thought I'd stay the night. Why? Because we're boyfriend girlfriend.
And do what?
Do what? I don't actually know.
Sleep?
Yeah, I guess you just stay the night. I don't know. I guess slumber party. But no, so I think it looks funny. I like everybody that's involved. Mm-hmm. I was skeptical when I heard they were going to make a Barbie movie.
No, I was excited for it.
But once I started hearing everybody that was in it, I'm like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then even their first teaser trailer of the 2001: A Space Odyssey, and the little girls playing with Barbie or baby dolls.
That was funny.
Instead of chimpanzees with bones, But we also got a pretty good look at Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That I think kind of gives us a better idea of what the
conflict is.
Yeah. So it seems like potentially the conflict is that either something tragic is supposed to happen to Miles that he's trying to avoid. Mm-hmm. And there, it'll risk everything, because the whole point of like the Spider-Man story is that like you have this loss and it turns you into something. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I've got to level with you guys. I don't want that.
Pass.
Because he makes the what's his name? Miguel O'Hara, who is Spider-Man 2099, makes the comment of like, you're trying to save one person and it'll risk everything, And Miles is like, I can try and do both. Like, I can do both. Spider-Man always, makes it work. And he's basically like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. Mm-mm. And so it seems like it's that idea of kind of like a butterfly effect or rippling thing of like, you got to let this person go, or you got to let this sacrifice happen.
We haven't seen his dad in the trailer in this one. Do you think?
Yeah, we saw him in this one. At the beginning, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what looks like the cookout and then the parent-teacher conference.
Do you think they're going to do anything with that?
I mean, his dad dies in the video game with Miles Morales. So maybe.
I mean, makes sense. Like, he already lost his uncle, so now, like, losing his dad, he doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah. And it does seem like they're kind of expanding on the theme of the first movie, which was like, you don't have to be, stop trying to be whatever you think other people want you to be, and just be
who you want to be.
And this is another step of that, of like, they're telling him what his plan is, right? And I think that'll pan out of like, now he's maybe getting into college age and things like that. And
right.
There's like a plan for you, right? Of like, well, you got to do this and then this and then this, you go to college to get the good jobs, you can have kids, and then you can pay off the college.
Yep.
And then you'll have grandkids, and then you'll die. And you'll get to retire and enjoy the last 7 years of your life.
There's some realness in that.
Yeah. No, like legitimately, that's like air quotes the plan, right? And so I think there's a bit of Miles like, I don't know that's the plan.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like
that doesn't sound cash money.
And so I think that'll be a bit of the conflict of like internally and with his parents, as well as with obviously all the spider people, similar to the first movie. I hope it's not similar to the first movie. You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay, we're doing this again.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to the idea of expanding on that idea.
Mm-mm.
But I don't know. Showed the trailer to my mom and dad, and they're like, that looks stupid. And I was like, you look stupid.
Shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know if you couldn't tell if it was art if it spit you in the fucking face.
You wouldn't know art if it had its finger in your ass. Like, pardon? All right. James Mangold, who is the director of Logan, Ford v Ferrari.
Yes.
Fucking Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yes.
Which we got a trailer for, by the by.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you did. You watched it with me.
Oh, okay. Yes, I did. Yes, I thought you meant like a new one.
A newer one?
That.
No. I forgot to put that in the news here, but because I kind of thought it would be wrapped up in Star Wars Celebration, because that's where it came out of. But yeah, pretty good trailer for that too. It's just Indiana Jones, man.
Yeah.
Not a lot of new footage, I don't think.
No, we see a good shot of him, like the de-aging that they do.
Yeah, there was a couple shots that, like I said, I paused at one point and was like, That's Harrison Ford in Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner.
But there's that scene again where like
He's riding on the horse in the subway.
It looks so bad.
I don't know, man.
It's like, come on, if you're doing it this good,
I'd rather them put more money towards
I guess.
like that de-aging is much. The de-aging is way more impressive than the horse is not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The trailer's over and I didn't go, God damn, did you see him on the horse? I went, fuck, did you see how they de-aged him?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I got a feeling that it's going to be a lot of backstory.
Flashback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could see them definitely pulling a lot of strings on that.
Sure. Well, and I think it makes sense from first of all, just an ability standpoint of like, Harrison Ford can't do a ton of his own action right now.
Right.
So we'll put his face on an actor and do some classic indie stuff, fighting Nazis and, and all that good stuff.
That's all I want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Harrison Ford beating up Nazis. Speaking of, what about that trailer for Sisu in front of John Wick? Where it's that, that was he Finnish? Was it Finnish or I feel like it was the Finns. He was a Finnish special ops. And he's fucking he finds all that gold.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get to the bank and he gets stopped by a group of Nazis that look like they may be defects or, leftovers after the war. And he just starts killing them hard.
As one does.
Like that shot where he throws a landmine end over end and it lands on the dude's face.
Yeah, dude.
Just turns into paste. I was like, my God. Morgan was like, this looks up your alley. And I think one of the blurbs in it was like, the most fun you'll have watching Nazis get killed, And you're like, yes.
Yes.
But all of that, to get back around to James Mangold, he just casually confirmed that he is working on Swamp Thing for the DCU.
Yes.
While talking to Collider about something that we'll mention later. He says, the truth is I'm writing both right now, speaking on Swamp Thing and a Star Wars project. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going to happen and what's going to blossom first or second. I'm acknowledging I'm doing Swamp Thing. There's your scoop. It's not a rumor. It's happening. Because there was a rumor back in February because he'd posted some pictures of Swamp Thing on Instagram or Twitter, and everybody was like, Swamp Thing? Is he writing it? And he's like, yeah. Like that, it definitely feels like he wasn't supposed to say that, but then he said it and was just like, yeah, fuck you. There you go. I said it. There's your scoop.
Have it. Fine.
Yeah. Suck nuts.
Here's your bone.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's pretty cool. I mean, he's a great writer, Logan, and I think he's already proven that he can respect a comic book character.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he did Wolverine. Or is it just called The Wolverine? The second Wolverine movie, basically.
I think so.
Because there's X-Men Origins, and then there was just Wolverine, and then Logan.
Yeah.
And he did Wolverine and Logan. Wolverine was pretty okay,
all right, yeah.
But Logan is fucking art.
Really brought it home.
And so I'm excited to see what he does with something at DC, with Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
I think he's got the benefit of Swamp Thing not being as commercial of a character.
You think we're gonna see Swamp Thing?
Swamp Pussy.
Swamp Pussy.
Ew. You don't want this smoke, Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get my screen balanced out here so I can bring up everything out of fucking Star Wars Celebration. Okay, let's see. Oh, easy there, baby girl. Fucking wrong article came up. God damn it. My mind is just a piece of shit this morning. Fucking
Jesus
dude.
Christ.
Son of a bitch. God damn it. Jesus Christ. He goes, Tony, do me your kindness. He goes, leave, please. All right, I just don't want to be coming in and out of the door all day. And he's like, it really doesn't matter to me at this juncture. And he slams the door as he leaves and he goes, don't slam the fucking door. No more. Like, my God. And I love that he just sits there rubbing his head for a while and he just goes, and look, I'm going to give a clue here. It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
It's no bullshit,
we don't
including me.
Yeah, we don't want any more bullshit from anybody. That includes me. All right, here. Back in. So this is starting with the Star Wars Celebration. Mm-hmm. So Lucasfilm announces 3... I'm getting this from IGN. They kind of do a nice consolidation of all the news. Lucasfilm announces 3 live-action Star Wars movies from directors Dave Filoni, James Mangold, and Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. So, we haven't had a movie since Rise of Skywalker in 2019, which did pretty mid I mean, it's
flop.
It still made money, right? I mean, it's not like, but in comparison to other Star Wars movies, it didn't do that well. And then review-wise, it wasn't very well received. But they're coming back to the next at bat, right?
Yeah.
So James Mangold is creating a film that will, quote, go back to the dawn of the Jedi. And he kind of compared it to a biblical drama about the origins of the Force and the beginning, like it says, the dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of interested in that.
Yeah, that'd be cool to
It's
see.
supposed to be like 25,000 years before anything else that we've seen. So that's interesting that it's like, while it will have massive, I guess, impact on the lore and the world at large.
Sure.
On a small scale, you can do whatever you want with it.
Right.
It doesn't impact.
You can do anything.
Yeah, because there's 25,000 years between that and the next thing.
Right.
Right. And so it doesn't really matter as far as a character basis. So Dave Filoni, who's most famously for, he's most famous for the animated stuff, as well as the more recent Disney Plus series like Ahsoka and The Mandalorian. He's directing a film that's going to explore, basically, it's a focus on the New Republic, among many other things. And it's kind of being described as like the natural conclusion to the Mandalorian stuff. So it sounds like it's going to be a little bit of a Endgame-esque, like going to tie in the Ahsoka and the Mandalorian and maybe Book of Boba Fett, and all wrap it up into here's what it was heading towards. And then Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, this is the one that I'm kind of the most like, really? Only because it was the biggest surprise for me. He's an Academy Award and Emmy Award winning director behind, like, he was on Ms. Marvel, Saving Face, and a lot, and much more. He's leading a film, quote, set after the events of Rise of Skywalker, and it's going to feature Daisy Ridley back as Rey as she builds a new Jedi Order.
Yeah.
I believe it's supposed to be about 15 years on. So, as mentioned above, as I just mentioned, Daisy Ridley is officially returning to Star Wars as Rey in a new movie set 15 years. Sharmeen says, I've always been attracted to the hero's journey and the fact that the world needs many more heroes. And the excitement was almost too much for Daisy Ridley. She says, my heart is pounding on stage there. I'm very thrilled to be continuing this journey. You figure she probably was in a spot of like, at the end of the Star Wars movies of like, I just don't know, man. You know what I mean? Because The Last Jedi was really divisive. You know, you either really liked that movie or hated it. And then The Rise of Skywalker, I think, kind of fell in the middle. Yeah. It was like mid to bad. I don't know many people that were like, fuck, dude, I love the Rise of Skywalker. Heat. I think we've talked about it on here before, but people that didn't like The Last Jedi also didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. And people that did like The Last Jedi didn't like Rise of Skywalker because it didn't correct anything that people didn't like, and it didn't stick with the things that people did like. It just kind of fell in the middle.
Stupid.
Definition of mid. So I think she's probably like, first of all, I wonder how much money they sent her. And second of all, I wonder, is it a money thing? Or is it like she read a script and was like, now wait a minute, there's something here.
I mean, I'd hope she read the script. She's like a big Star Wars fan and wanted to do it.
Yeah, I was like, no, wait a goddamn. This sounds like a chance at redemption for the character
story
and for the story. So Kathleen Kennedy says that new Star Wars films are pretty far along in development. So she said that the 3 newly announced movies are pretty far along. She spoke to IGN, actually, and said that the new films from Dave Filoni, Sharmeen, and James Mangold aren't just ideas that are being thrown around, but they've been in development for a considerable amount of time. So they managed to keep it under wraps pretty well.
Nice.
She says, we're pretty far along. These are things, as you can imagine, certainly looking at what Dave's been doing with Ahsoka, that'll be at least 6-7 years building to what it is we're going to be doing in a movie. So she's got a point there of like, they've kind of had to plan towards this.
Yeah.
With, like she said, 7 years by the time it gets here of shows leading up to the movie. And so they've just managed to keep it under wraps. I know that there'd been rumors that Dave Filoni was going to be directing a movie.
Sure.
But, I mean, as far as I know, nothing ever got out of rumor territory other than, Dave Filoni's making a movie maybe. But I don't think anybody had the idea that it would be a Disney Plus show turned into movie.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's going to rely kind of heavily on people having watched the show.
The Mandalorian, Book
or at least
of Boba.
Understand what that is. Star Wars is finally getting back to the Old Republic. So the Old Republic is returning to canon, it says.
Nice.
So yeah, they kind of showed, it was that picture I showed you of the timeline, basically.
Yeah.
That gives you an idea of what all Everything is there? Oh, fuck. Twitter's opening up. It always gets fucky when Twitter opens up. Safe! It came right to the tweet. 9 times out of 10, when I click a linked tweet, it just takes me to Twitter.
Yeah.
But not to the tweet.
Right.
So I just want to show you or look at the picture here. So there was an outline that they put up that was basically a timeline of everything being covered over these movies. And there was the Dawn of the Jedi, which was the early James Mangold movie. And then the Old Republic, the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, the New Republic, and Rise of the First Order, and then the New Jedi Order. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that they include the Old Republic up there is like, all right, that actually happened.
Right.
Right. At least in some fashion. It might not be exactly like it is in the games or in the books, but at least that concept exists, which made a lot of people happy. Because that's one of the things that like everyone
loves is the Old Republic.
Sorry. So and this is kind of another tidbit about Dave Filoni. He said that basically it's a complicated answer on everybody was like, is it Endgame of Star Wars? He said that he thinks of the movie as a period where the movie is set as less of a Mandalorian area and more as the New Republic period. He goes, I don't know if I'd call it a finale. I think of the time period now as the New Republic time period, and it's something that has existed long before we were ever making the Mandalorian. The idea that after Return of the Jedi there was a New Republic and that the heroes still had to defend that Republic from the remnant empire is a very old idea that we brought into the first season of The Mandalorian because it's what was always there.
Right.
So basically, it just makes sense that, if there's a New Republic, the Empire didn't just disappear overnight.
Right.
Right. And we kind of talked about it a little bit relating to Ahsoka, where Thrawn is existing in Ahsoka. I think the Dave Filoni movie will be Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
And it's going to be, because Ahsoka even name drops that phrase exactly.
Heir to the Empire.
That Thrawn's coming back as an heir to the Empire. And so I think Thrawn's going to come out of the dark reaches of space and try and reignite the Empire, what's left.
I am the glue that holds this family together. Get back to the fucking Death Star.
Heir to the Empire was a book in the 90s, I believe. Mm-hmm. That was like a quote-unquote sequel to the movies. Mm-hmm. And so I think it'll be interesting to see if that's exactly what they do. And we kind of talked about the idea of them using Heir to the Empire to kind of like bridge the gap between the New Republic era and the sequels of like, here's why there's clones of Snoke down in that pit.
Right.
And here's how the Emperor, quote, somehow returned.
Speaking of, believe it or not, I wrote the original script for Heir to the Empire, but the original name for it was Hair of the Empire. And it was about Thrawn and just looking for some pubic hair. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't either. I like that you interrupted me for a not funny joke. You're like, and you know what's really fun? Yeah, I gathered. You know what's really fun is when anytime you go, and you like point at me and have like, I've got something for you. I already know that it's going to be
I saw it on your face of just disbelief right off rip.
No. It wasn't disbelief. I believed it. No. I knew it was happening. It was more disappointment, I think. It was like, come on now.
Come on.
Come on, man. This is what we're doing. I wrote. Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ. So, Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. My fucking head's still hurting from that. Like, I've got a big bump on the side of my head.
Oh, I thought your head was hurting about the thing I said, and I was like, all right, man, like we can move on from it.
Oh, I've got a big old goose egg.
Big old fat knot.
Oh, so, August 2023 is the release window that they gave us for Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
As well as they gave us a full trailer. I think it was a good trailer.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't like, yo, what? I think there was a bit of like, this is a very Star Wars trailer.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like, oh, really? You know what I mean?
Oh, shit.
I do think it was a pretty safe trailer.
Did you see the trailer for the new Star Wars Visions?
Season 2.
Dude, that looks pretty good too.
Yes. Furthermore, they kind of teased a second season already for Ahsoka. So they said,
first one's not even out yet.
I know. They said, if this does well, maybe we'll get a second season. That was Rosario Dawson. She goes, it's up to y'all. I'm ready if you are. So it was more like, she just kind of throwing it out there, but I wonder if it was like, gauge the room. You know what I mean? Get a second season. Everyone's like, yeah! And they're like, all right, second season. Or she's like, maybe it'll get a second season. And you just get like, I didn't watch Rebels.
Neither have I.
So
I might watch just a recap.
Feel
on
like,
them.
yeah, that's kind of how I am at this point because everybody's like, "Yo, we saw motherfucking Hera and Sabine and Chopper," and I'm like,
Yeah, who the fuck are they?
You what now? Are you just saying words? Mon Mothma, we did see,
Yeah.
and I do like that. It's like, my God, she's coming back around. They got this chick in, and now she's in everything. That's like a nice touchstone of like, there she is. And kind of getting to see her in different points in time of like,
Yeah.
Here she is in Andor as like just a politician, still a member of the Senate. She hasn't even defected yet. And then obviously seeing her in Rogue One early as like she is a member of the rebellion.
Yeah.
Now probably a similar thing in Ahsoka of depending on when Ahsoka takes place, she's either still a senator or they're getting ready to defect, but it seems like it's going to take place, obviously after Rebels. So it's after Rebels. So she's already defected. So is she like leading the New Republic or, what's her role on all that, right?
That'd be cool to see.
Yeah, to kind of see her at the end after the fact. We didn't get to see Thrawn entirely. We just kind of saw like the back of his head. But it is apparently the gentleman. I got his name here. I'm pretty sure it's Lars Mikkelsen, he is actually Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
Okay.
But apparently he's the voice actor in Rebels for Thrawn. And they're just like, fuck it, get him in.
Yeah, I mean, that
Paint him
makes
blue,
sense.
get him out there. Put red contacts on him, there he is. But yeah, they even mention here that Ahsoka says, as heir to the Empire. So they're like,
yes.
ugh. So yeah, the concept of that show, obviously going to be seeking Thrawn. And Thrawn probably doing some Thrawning. Right?
Thrawning all over the place. Thrawning all up inside you.
My God. Yeah, and they're like, they're talking about Ezra Bridger is going to be in the show and shit, and I'm like, oh yeah?
Is that so?
Yeah, because they're like, fellow Rebels character Ezra Bridger, and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. I feel like a fucking imposter. I'm over here reporting on Star Wars going, who are these people?
Who are you people?
What is happening? I'm just scrolling through to make sure I don't miss anything. Andor Season 2 is aiming for an August 2024 premiere.
Okay.
Which, that'll be here before you know it. Apparently they showed an Acolyte trailer, which we kind of watched a little bit of a bootleg version, but it looks like it cut off early. Seems pretty interesting.
It looks really good.
I'm interested. They compared it to Frozen meets Kill Bill. So they're looking at a 2024 release window.
Okay.
But they don't have an exact date or even really a time period. Just it'll be out next year.
If it's not if there's not a scene where there's a massacre going on with a music number, I will be rather upset.
So Leslie Headland, who is making the show, says that she goes, what I pitched to Kathleen Kennedy was Frozen meets Kill Bill. Shockingly, she didn't kick me out of the building. It's High Republic, near the beginning of the prequels, and an exciting part of the timeline. This is when the bad guys are outnumbered. They're the underdogs. I'm really excited for you guys to see the things you haven't seen in live action yet.
Yeah, I got talking about how I think
it'd be interesting for the main character to be.
I'm curious if, since it's the Old Republic, if it's the twins. They're big in
It's not Old Republic. It's the High Republic. Right before the prequels.
Excuse me, the High Republic, but still that was the era of those twins where like one of them was good and one of them was evil, but like the prophet said that they brought balance, and they did somehow, but then something goes wrong. I saw a whole thing about it, but
oh, word.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing.
Is it one of the CGI movies?
Mm-mm. It was a book.
Oh, word.
Yeah, I saw on TikTok. It was a book, and it was like explaining what they thought, how it was relating to the new show coming out.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking.
No, I've been like out of breath lately. Very breathy.
Yeah. Dutch. I'm dying, Dutch. Apparently we got, I say we, if you were at Star Wars Celebration, you got to see some Skeleton Crew stuff as well, which is like the kids, like the, what's the fucking movie? The Goonies.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Goonies, but Star Wars. They showed off the directors for the episodes, which was John Watts, David Lowery, the Daniels.
Ooh.
Jake Schreier. That's easy to say. Bryce Dallas Howard, which I was saying, I'm surprised she doesn't have a movie of her own yet.
Right.
And then Lee Isaac Chung. So, dope. And then, like you said, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi is actually, you mentioned Visions. Tales of the Jedi is getting a second season.
Which I still have to watch Tales of the Jedi.
And Bad Batch is getting a third and final season.
Which I have to watch Bad Batch.
We did get that trailer for Visions Volume 2.
Which will gas.
The Lando Calrissian series is definitely still happening, according to Kathleen Kennedy.
I would like to know more about Lando's character.
Yeah. She goes, I can just tell you it's still happening, and he's very excited about it. She said, all but confirming that Glover is definitely on board.
Yes.
She says Taika Waititi is still working away on his Star Wars film. She basically said, like, he's writing the script himself. He doesn't really want to bring others into that process, and I don't blame him. He has a very, very unique voice, which he's always kind of been that way, that he writes his own scripts and just does it himself. I believe he said that the way he writes a script is he, like, writes a script and then puts it away for, like, a year and then comes back and reads the script and takes notes. He kind of reads it as somebody who's just reading the script.
Right.
But not somebody that wrote it. And taking notes on, like, why is that in there? Oh, why would you put that in there? And he said he basically takes out all the bits that don't really make sense or don't matter.
And that's a smart method to do.
And then goes, okay, now let's fill in. So these are the parts that are good, either good or important or make sense to be there, and then fills in again. And he goes, if you're trying to make a lot of movies, I don't recommend this method, but, you know, it works for me. And then we got a final gameplay trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which is coming out later this month.
Was it the 29th? 28th?
28th, I feel, 28th. Is correct. It doesn't say here, but yeah, I believe it's the 28th. And apparently, Coruscant is in the game as a playable world.
Oh, piss.
But it may or may not be open world. So who knows? But it sounded like there's been a little bit of up and down on whether that is or isn't the case, because some people are like, oh yeah, it's definitely an open world, and others are like, nah, not as much. But yeah, that's really the major...
What are you hoping for out of that? Do you want it to be an open world? I would like to see an open world Coruscant.
I would too. The only other thing from the Star Wars Celebration that I was like, yeah, that's funny or like worth noting is Ewan McGregor was there, and he was like, he really wants Obi-Wan Season 2. but there's not any plans for that yet. And he's just over there like, I would suck a dick for a Season 2, please.
Yeah, me too.
Please. I'm like, but I think it delivered on the promise of an Obi-Wan already, of like, we got to see him and Vader. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, and then maybe he fucked off into the desert for the next 10 years, and then, you know.
That's kind of what I thought it was, is like, it just had such a nice closure for everything of...
Yeah, and like, he found the Force again.
Yeah.
You know, was able to use it and be in one with it and communicate with Qui-Gon, and he's good. Like, he's Gucci.
The good ending.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that's all the major stuff from Star Wars Celebration. So let's just talk about Tetris, baby.
Let's hop right in it.
Let's jump in it.
You got a synopsis pulled up?
I do, actually. So first of all, motherfucker, 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb.
Bingo.
61 Metascore. The critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 82, and the audience gave it an 88. So the synopsis: the story of how one of the world's most popular video games found its way to players around the globe. Businessman Hank Rogers and Tetris inventor Alexei Pajitnov joined forces in the USSR, risking it all to bring Tetris to the masses.
That's right.
So what are your spoiler-free plot thoughts?
As far as the plot, I thought the plot held a lot of consistency to it. I think going in kind of explaining everything, like the business aspect of it, was in a way where it felt slow enough, or fast enough to the point where it wasn't dragging.
Right.
But slow enough to the point where it didn't feel like...
You didn't get lost.
Right. You know, I'm able to keep pace with it.
Yeah.
And, like, there's just a lot of consistency in that. And almost as, like, the sense of, like, the constant buildup of suspense until the climax happened. And then it's like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
You know? So I thought the plot for it was... really good.
Yeah. I said, kind of, similar things there, where I thought that it did a good job of establishing all of like the parties involved, basically, and explaining what their relationships to each other were.
Yes.
So that when certain twists or layers were peeled back, you were able to go, okay, who does that impact, or what does this mean, right? And then, like you said, the tension was built really well. And Morgan and I both found ourselves kind of laughing at times, only because we were like, this is allegedly, right, the true story. We're like, what the fuck? There's so much, like, actual drama and tension in this story.
KGB's involved.
Yeah, I mean it's a Soviet like story. It's a Cold War story. And then I did think that the thriller aspects of the film took a bit of time to really sink in, but once they did, they paid off.
Yeah, I think so.
How about your characters and chemistry over there, girl?
So as far as like characters and chemistry, I really enjoyed Hank and I'm blanking on the
Alexei, the guy who made Tetris.
Yes, I really like their relationship, and we'll dive more into it in spoilers. But just at first, Hank being a game developer himself, which we see in the very beginning of the movie, kind of fangirling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like trying to work his way up to get to know this guy.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really interesting, as well as I really liked what was the businessman who was it Alexei's lawyer who?
Well, are you talking about the guy that works for the USSR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed him and Hank's relationship, which again,
like their dynamic. Yeah,
we'll have to talk more in.
I don't know if I call it a relationship, but yeah, their dynamic of, I guess, negotiations.
Yeah.
I just want to find that gentleman's name because he's a pretty large piece of the pie. Let's see, I just had it. Everybody, I was trying to pull up the list of actors here. There he is, Nikolai Belikov, Mr. Belikov.
Mr. Belikov. But so I really enjoyed their interactions that they had. I guess I just really enjoyed Mr. Belikov's character, as far as in the sense of how he is treated and how he treats other people.
Yeah, there's an interesting wrinkle because the setting is like literally maybe the final year of the USSR.
Yeah.
And that kind of keeps coming up a bit without getting too spoilery. I mean, it's a weird thing to be like, without spoiling history, right?
Right.
The USSR dissolves in 1989, right? Spoiler alert. But this takes place in 88. And so there's a lot of references or statements basically of a lot of people inside the like government of the USSR basically being like, the writing's on the wall. This thing's falling apart. Like this thing's done.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting to see how different people inside the machine react to that. Of like
how each one of them think differently and how differently they think.
Yeah. And I think Belikov's role in that is a big part of that. I thought that Taron Egerton, like I said in my notes here, he turns in a pretty good performance as Hank Rogers. I don't see him getting an Oscar for it, but I believed him.
No,
you know
absolutely.
I mean? I'm not like, wow, he blew me away. But
that mustache.
That mustache is kicking.
Yeah.
Taron Egerton's just a handsome man. And I think put a mustache on him, fuck it.
Yeah, he pulls it off.
He's got a good, his head's a little wide, but not in a bad way. And I think the mustache fits perfectly right in the middle of that big old wide head.
I look like a big old lump of lard, so.
Well, that's not true. The Maxwells were douches.
Yeah, hard, fuck them.
Yeah. And then just in general, I enjoyed how the people's stories kind of interweave.
How they interweave.
And they're intertangled at times, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? Who's double-crossing who? Or, trying to really pull back the layers. And there is enough of an aspect of I think I know what's happening here.
Right.
Where when it does all come out, you're like, yep, that's what I thought.
Yep. But then that makes sense too, right? Because it's like, well,
it's reality. I mean, it's
when you think about it, that makes sense.
I'm sure it's been embellished, and I think we'll talk about that. But in general, it's a real story, so it's not going to be like.
I do think that's interesting. Like in a third party perspective, when we look at things, we can point things out rather than being there in the moment. Because then it's like we just can't see it like that.
Yeah, well, it's that beauty of hindsight, and a little bit of situational irony, where we know the truth that the people involved in the story don't.
The story does not.
How do we rate shit around here? I'm ready to just talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can either be, overwhelmed, which means you were very satisfied with the film, you enjoyed it. You can be underwhelmed, which means you weren't that satisfied with it. There was a bunch of flaws, you didn't like it, thought it was garbo. Or you can always be right in the middle and be simply whelmed. I think we're just 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very impressed with that movie.
Yeah. I was impressed with the trailer. I liked the trailer. It seemed like, why does that look good? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it is a Tetris, a movie about the founding of Tetris. And I kind of thought, well, I don't know if that's going to be as exciting as they want it to seem.
I thought it was deserving to be in theaters.
Yeah, I could see going to this.
Yeah.
But I also know that, a biopic ain't going to get asses and seats.
Right.
And, they probably had to roll the dice on, well, Apple is willing to pay us X amount of dollars right up front here.
Right, and just pay for it.
Yeah, and we'll just take that, right?
Which, I mean, smart,
Now, Apple might want to start looking at going the Netflix route of still putting movies out in theater.
What Netflix movies did they put out in theater?
Technically, Knives Out.
Oh.
And then All Quiet on the Western Front got a theatrical release, things like that. I do wish that Netflix would just start doing longer theatrical runs. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, I could see streamers doing that.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
I mean, you figure that's how All Quiet on the Western Front got. That's the little, asterisk on how they get nominated for Oscars and stuff, is they have to be released in cinemas.
In cinemas.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah. But, spoilers, baby. Let's spoil it. You want to start?
Sure. So, I mean, just starting from the top, when the suspense building as Hank slowly starts to figure out that
The Maxwells have
the
really kinda
Maxwells,
fucked him.
well, that and the Maxwells don't have the rights to the any of the games.
Yeah.
Besides just the arcade game.
Well, no. The computer.
Or the computer, the PC.
The PC rights.
Yeah, but they didn't have the arcade or the handheld or the console.
Yeah. And I did like that came about just simply because the lack of knowledge inside the USSR, where they filter out outside knowledge. Mm-hmm. They don't have gaming systems there. No. They don't understand that a computer, you need to really define what you mean by a personal computer.
Right.
In your contracts. Because that, you left it vague enough that they felt that they could get away with buying the computer rights. The SNES is technically a computer. Mm-hmm. There's a computer inside the arcade machines, right?
Yeah, and then cuts them out.
Yeah. That was an interesting, now the USSR thinks that he stole the rights.
Yeah, they're trying to get everything all figured out with him and Mr. Belikov. But what I really liked about Mr. Belikov's relationship with Hank and the interactions is early on, we got to see Hank kind of being an honest man.
Yeah.
Through and through.
Yeah.
And Mr. Belikov does believe him to the point where he leaves the room to try to
figure this out.
Is he right? Is he onto something that I can't see?
Yeah.
And then as he's doing it, he's like, "Oh yeah, he is."
Yeah.
And so
he brings him his contract. Yeah. Let me read this contract here, and then basically is like, "All right, how should I fix this?"
Yeah. I just really like that dynamic of him needing him, but not wanting to admit that he needs him.
Yeah.
Because Hank is just a naturally a good character.
Yeah.
Or a good person. So he naturally just
Full
wants
disclosure, by the by. Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitov, what did I say the last name was? Are both executive producers on this film. So, so there might be a little bias towards them, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Where it's maybe Hank's not a great guy.
Right.
But I did like that they kind of included some personal conflict with him and his family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I doubt it was as neatly tied up at the end, right? But,
right.
Hank seems to be a generally good guy.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they're trying to, figure out all the rights and everything, and Hank decides, well, fuck it, I got to go to Moscow because the Maxwells don't have the rights, and I need to go try to buy them.
Yeah.
And when he goes out there, he goes in as a tourist.
Yeah.
But he's going in
it'll take months to get a business visa.
Mm-hmm. But if you try to conduct business as a tourist, it's a felony.
Yeah, because you were fraudulent on your visa.
And so, that's kind of the first big risk that we see.
He's just kind of bold. He's just going into the into the Soviet Union and it's I am a tourist. Yeah, I'm here to meet with whoever made Tetris so I can buy it.
Mm-hmm. And what I liked about that part is when he does do that, and you start to see everybody out in the just the real world, and they're all just kind of watching him because they're all in, all in on it.
Mm-hmm. Because you figure when he gets to their customs, and they're scanning his passport and everything, and as soon as he gets there, they send his stuff down to the KGB
because what they said He's Dutch, but he was born in...
He was born in the Netherlands, raised in New York.
His family's Dutch, and he lives in Tokyo with his wife.
Yeah, and so it's
what do you...
What's your deal here?
Yeah.
Guy? And you're just visiting the USSR for funsies,
Don't think so.
You're not that guy, pal.
Yeah, you're not that guy, pal. So I thought, and then right off rip, we get introduced to...
Sasha?
Yes, which is his
his translator.
translator. But I thought she was also like a. Oh, geez, it starts with a C. No, what is it like when you go to hotels and they'll like
Concierge?
concierge?
No, I don't think so. Because he doesn't meet her at the hotel. He's going around. He goes to like
Oh, that's right. She bumps into him.
air quote,
Air quote. Yeah.
right? Where he's been just asking a lot of questions of like, how can I find what he thinks is a company?
Yeah.
What is it? Elcog or Elcorg?
Alorg.
Elorg, and that's like it's a government agency.
Yeah.
Who manages electronic property rights in the USSR, and he's just walking around. How can I get to Elorg?
And everyone's like, "Don't fucking talk to me."
Yeah, get away from me. Like,
And he does. He gets shunned by everybody, and they're just, "Nope."
no, sir. And so then Sasha pops up and is like, I can be your translator. And unsurprisingly, she ends up being a KGB agent. But he's basically been given a KGB escort, essentially. She takes him to Elorg, and that's how he meets Belikov and gets through all the negotiations. But the Maxwells and, God, I can't think of the guy's name. Mr. Stein, was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the interweaving, like, there's so many layers to product ownership where Stein owns the rights. He works for the Maxwells, and they're all licensing the games out to other people. And it's just this, oddly enough, it's like a Russian doll.
Yeah.
Just
Keep taking one layer off. There's something.
there's somebody else underneath. And when it all gets down to the bottom, the guy at the top of the list stole or, cheated the Russians out of their contract a little bit. And so now Hank doesn't own rights to
Anything.
what he thinks he does.
Yeah.
And so he needs the help of Nintendo to basically bankroll him to get the game.
And Nintendo really did.
Yeah, they came in
were
clutch.
like, they saw that potential, and I thought when I first saw it, I thought that they were gonna turn him down like real hard after the Game Boy, but no, they were like, this shit's got potential. We gotta hop on this. And then they started like freaking out later on when they thought Atari bought it.
Yeah, but he comes to them as like, nobody
has this yet.
No. Atari doesn't have it because nobody does. The handheld rights don't exist.
Yeah. And then, basically takes all those scientists out. He's like, you need to get in your jet and come out here now.
Well, yeah, the president and the VP of Sony or of Nintendo in the US, they're like, what do you need from us? And he's like, I need you and your motherfucking checkbooks on a plane with me. We're going to Moscow. We're going to get this shit now. And, because it's all coming apart that, like, the Maxwells are, like, friends with fucking Gorbachev, who is the leader of...
They hired him.
No. Gorbachev is the leader of Russia.
Oh, yeah.
And Mr. Maxwell keeps like, me and Gorbachev are pals, And it's like, yeah, but you ain't got no money, friend.
Broke.
He's supposed to be a billionaire, but
got his money. He got his funny up, not his money up.
And yeah, so that's kind of that was one of the things that I was pretty sure of early on, is that he didn't have money,
right?
Because his son's like, Dad, I heard that people's pension was just missing and they were shredding papers. What's that about? And he's like, it's just a little quirk, son. It'll work itself out.
Itself out.
He's like, all right, word, Daddy. I'm going to Russia. Deuce. But they have an agent high up in the KGB that they kind of just have on the bankroll to basically make sure that I'll pay you X amount of money if you make sure that the Maxwells get the rights to Tetris.
Right.
So they've got a guy on the inside who's making a concerted effort to not take Nintendo's offer, even though Nintendo's offer is like
more fair.
Is the best offer.
Yeah.
They even agreed to give like $1 of every unit sold.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 50 cents per console and per handheld.
Yeah. Well, so it's 50 cents per unit sold, and then Belikov counters with $1, and they're like, "Perfect, sign it."
Yeah.
They're like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. It's fine. Yeah, we'll take it." And I did like that, like, you kind of know, right, that, that's a great deal because Tetris is one of the highest selling games of all time.
Right.
Right. But to then see it, like, explained at the end in the black screens of, like, here's what happened to the Maxwells and here's what happened to them and them.
Yeah.
And it was like, Tetris was, like, the
still
motherfucking
to this day,
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the highest
To
games
this
out
day.
there. To this day.
We're kind of a little bouncing around a bit, I feel.
A little bit.
But, I mean, it's a pretty basic story. I mean, it's not...
Yeah.
It's not... And that's not a bad thing. I just mean it's not like a... Okay, so here's what happened. Right.
The one thing I did like that I wanted to point out specifically was the car chase and how like they hit the wall and they turned a little pixely. I thought,
and then at one point they even have like top-down driving.
Yeah, and I thought that was a little interesting. I thought that was pretty cool of how they just threw it in there just cause.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah,
we still got some budget left,
and I really liked that aspect of it. I thought it was funny and different.
That's one of those things that I wonder, about. That feels like an embellishment of like a literal car chase out of Russia.
Yeah, probably. What did
But
I say the other day?
Exciting.
Yeah, when we first got that talking about it, it's like
they might have been being tailed.
Yeah, it's just tailing them.
But for a movie, it's a bit more exciting if they're getting chased. Which is fine.
Yeah, sure.
If the basic premise is still true, and then he pays to get Alexei and his family out of Russia after the Soviet Union dissolves.
Yeah. Which that part was sad.
Yeah,
but like happy sad,
Yeah, but it's that thing of like they just have to leave. I did like because I kind of set it ahead of the movie where he and his wife are watching the news when they're kind of wrapping everything up at the end of the movie. It's showing here's what happened to Hank and everything, and they're watching like basically the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. The red flag has been taken down at the Kremlin, and his wife asks, Alexei's wife asks him like, "Is this a good thing or a bad thing?" And he says, "Probably both." And that's kind of what I said to Morgan. I was like, "It's both," because look at where Russia's at now, right? We know what was going to happen, and again, and like you said, it's that hindsight, that third party of like, well, yes, the Soviet Union was bad. Russia seems to maybe not be 100% better, right? But
they're different.
Yeah, to an extent. Fascist, not socialist.
Yeah.
They get taken back to the U.S. and Alexei and Hank form the Tetris company and are probably very, very rich gentlemen.
Yeah.
You figure the starting check was $5 million that Hank gets, and that absolves his $3 million in debt to the bank.
The bank.
And, probably helps their little company out, making some monies. I do wonder what his royalties were off of Nintendo. Did he say in the dealing?
I don't think they said any royalties right off rip.
Yeah.
But also, he just a check for $5 million ain't a bad deal.
No. But considering he had $3 million debt, still $2 million.
But for the
80s?
80s?
Yeah, 80s into the 90s, yeah.
That's not a bad
gig.
Yeah. I really liked how Alexei and Hank, when
they go out on the town.
No.
Or before when they're looking on the computer.
When they're looking on the computer and they both have a bit of that nerd moment where they improve the game.
Yeah. Because, in the very original version of Tetris, when you get say 4 lines in a row that are all full,
it's still just
only the bottom line disappears. And Hank's like, I got to ask, why wouldn't all 4 rows go away? And Alexei basically goes, it didn't occur to me. Like, I never thought of it.
Yeah.
And then just, like, well, let's do it.
Programs
they just, code it real quick, and it doesn't work right away, and then they fix it a little bit. Oh, there it goes. That's what we're looking for. And they're both like,
slapping each other on the back, like, holy shit, we're doing it.
And I do like the idea that Hank is a much better businessman than he is
a game developer.
And Alexei definitely seems to be a game developer, right?
Rather than a businessman.
And so it makes sense that the Tetris company. I wonder if they've done anything
besides that,
other than Tetris.
You really wouldn't need to.
No. But I'm just curious, like, did the Tetris company in the 90s go, what if we made a shooter? You know what I mean?
Well, they made so many variations of Tetris, I feel like. Same thing with like stuff like Angry Birds.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many variations of it.
Yeah. You can just keep going back to that well.
Yeah.
But
it's always wet.
I enjoyed it.
I really did like it. Again, I think it deserved
a theatrical
release for how good it was.
Yeah. It's a relatively basic film. It's a biopic. I mean, we know how it was going to end.
Right.
The only spoiler I wrote down was Tetris gets made.
Yeah.
Because
Tetris does in fact get made.
Yeah. Did you have anything else that you're like, I got to mention that?
I just figured I'd mention the part where Hank's translator did try to seduce him, being a part of the KGB.
Yeah.
And I did really like the fact that he said no and stood his ground, and he was like,
I'm a married man.
I'm a married man.
Yeah. Now I wonder, did they get pictures of them like in real life? Did they get pictures of them like porking? You know what I mean? And for the movie, she kissed him and he was like, "Hey, I'm a married man." You know what I mean? Was that one of the embellishments? Right?
Could be. But then they do try to use that against him because, again, since everyone was watching, they got a picture of...
Yeah, it was intentional. She tried to seduce him just so they could get the picture of them kissing. Because the KGB straight up shows up at his office.
Or, his office.
And, like, vaguely threatens his children.
Yeah, says that they're very beautiful kids. Yeah. And then...
Yeah, it's like, nice kids. You wouldn't want anything to happen to them, you know?
Yeah, hate if they got sick and fell.
Yeah.
But, I mean, other than that, it was a good movie. Yeah. The only problem I think I'd have to say is I really didn't buy the relationship him, Maya, and his wife had. Mm-hmm. But it just felt pretty insignificant to it. Yeah. So maybe a little, when they try to have like that touchy feeling.
Yeah.
Kind of, it did feel a little like,
Yeah, it did feel like there was meant to be a bit of like home drama, I suppose, of like his family was on the line, but it never really felt like it was.
Just because it didn't play such a big enough role.
Yeah. Whereas I think that could have been something that you lean a little bit more heavily on was like, because that's the part that I don't know. You know, I know that he gets Tetris. Right. But I don't know what it costs. Right. Does he lose his family to it? You know what I mean? As far as like, yeah. He literally bought the house. Mm-hmm. He put a 100% lien on his home.
Jesus.
And then I just come home and be like, baby, don't be mad.
Hear me out.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other thing that I could think of that I was like, yeah, I definitely want to mention that is there's a line from Alexi where they go to a nightclub and the song, The Final Countdown comes on and he's like, yo, I fucking love this song. You guys all know the words of this song. And Alexi says something to the effect of, good ideas have no borders.
Yeah.
Tetris is famous worldwide and it got out of the USSR and God damn it, The Final Countdown's a good song, man. Yeah. It made it in.
He's like, everyone knows the lyrics.
Yeah, and he's like, good ideas have no boundaries or have no borders. But that's all I got, kid. What about you?
I mean, yeah, that's everything I had to talk about it. Again, I think it deserved a theatrical release.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like one of my top favorite movies, but I do think for what it is, it's a very, very good movie. Yeah. I really liked it.
So then... What you been thinking about there, kid?
I think what you meant to say is, welcome back to Chris's Cryptid Corner. I'm your host, Chris. So, I didn't really think about it, and I probably should have. I know I said I was going to talk about it this week, and I should have talked about it last week, because the solar eclipse technically was yesterday. It was on the 8th. And then the next one that's coming up is going to be in September. But this...
You mean a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse?
A solar eclipse.
Where the moon passes in front of the sun?
Mm-hmm. I was fairly certain. I was looking at it today at work. Because I looked up passing over where we're at. So like it'd be visible for us.
I didn't think the next solar eclipse was until 2024.
Oh, April 8th of 2024. You're correct. Yeah. Then there's another one that is supposed to be here. Here, I can find out the exact day. October 14th of 2023.
Where does it go over?
It looks like
partial.
It begins... It's only going to be there for 2 hours and 45 minutes. And then it looks like it's going to be through Texas up to the corner of California. So we're really not going to be able to see it because we're in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about solar eclipse. It was just something that, and this one's going to be kind of short. It's just more like facts and some legends of what the solar eclipse is.
Do you have the story about Columbus?
No.
All right, cool. Good. Can I interject when you get done?
Is this your corner?
Yeah.
What? No. No, of course. I always encourage you to. Go ahead and start off with that then.
So, I'm going to level with you. I know the story, the gist of the story. Enough to say I believe it was Columbus. It was one of the Spanish, who rolled up on the natives in some of the Caribbean islands. But basically they were like, hey, we, on the real, we need food from y'all. And they only had this particular tribe or village only harvested, they didn't have surplus.
Right.
They only had enough food for, we need this food.
Yeah.
Right? We can't spare any food. Sorry guys. And they were like, if you don't give us this food in 3 days, our God will take the sun away and the sky will be black. And they're like, okay,
okay.
And because they were Spanish and they had already done maps of the stars and all that, they knew for a fact that a solar eclipse was coming.
Huh.
And a solar eclipse comes, and imagine the native population.
The horror.
Yeah, being like, holy fuck.
Here, It's all yours,
and
man.
They gave them food. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
And they gave them, a tribe that could not spare it, right? Gave up their food to the conquerors because they used science.
I mean, what are you going to do? It's survival of the fittest, I guess. But the first one I wanted to talk about, I know that you'll get a kick out of.
Yeah.
Just like some legends of what is the solar eclipse, what causes it, and stuff like that. And some of these date back from like way, way back.
Yeah.
The first one I wanted to talk about is going to be of Skull and Haiti chasing the moon.
Oh, yeah.
Which is the Nordic
chasing the
wolves.
sun, yeah.
And the whole thing behind them is something has angered them, and so they're just on this constant chase of the sun and the moon, but they'll never be able to catch it, and that's the whole thing that kind of keeps it. But when they do, Ragnarok happens.
Right.
And we've talked about it in God of War of what Ragnarok is, so I won't go too much further into that. But that was the first one I saw.
Yeah.
The second one I saw, I thought was really, really interesting, and it's Rahu, which is the beheaded Asura. So it's the god or the deity of Rahu, originally known as, I might butcher some of these names, so do forgive me, as Svar Banu. The wrathful demigod sought to live forever by drinking, and he drank this nectar called Amrita, the nectar of immortality. And Lord Vishnu...
I thought you were going to say Lord Vader.
Lord Vishnu wouldn't stand for this. However, Rahu beheaded him.
Yeah.
And he sent him flying out, way out in space.
Yeah.
And every so often, Lord Vishnu comes back around to try to eat the sun.
Okay.
As revenge.
Yeah, and
but since he's beheaded, no matter how many times he eats it, it's coming right out of the neck.
Yeah.
So he'll never really be able to get that proper revenge.
Yeah.
I thought that one was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Another one that I saw here, and this will be the last one I talk about. Like I said, it was fairly short.
Huh.
It's called the Peri, P-E-R-I.
P-E-R-I. Okay.
Peri.
Does it have an accent over the I, or is it just P-E-R-I?
P-E-R-I.
Yeah, so maybe Perry.
And this was supposed to be in ancient Persia.
Okay.
So it says here that back in the 6th century BC, the Peri were small winged humanoids in the
Zoroastrianism?
Parisian traditions, like the other fairy folk in global myth.
Yeah.
The relationship with the humans ranged from casual benevolence to mischievous destruction. According to the folk historian Carol Rose, they might help you out in a tough spot, ruin your crops, or darken the sun. So
it's a roll of the dice. Who knows?
Yeah. So it just depends. And it doesn't really go into any more specifics of that, except for the example here that it gives me of it was like legend to tell that it was helping peasants, but then ruining riches for the kings. So almost like a Robin Hood kind of thing. Right. And I thought that was a really interesting thing of where does this winged humanoid come that help poor people and take away from kings.
Right, yeah. Is that just like a...
And then let me throw you a further one.
Do it.
Because of this, and here, let me find the exact connection I saw.
Persian?
Mm-hmm. People connect this to Mothman.
Okay.
And their whole reason for the connection between them is because...
They're winged humanoids?
The one that they're winged humanoids. Then two, some believe that Mothman was there to help.
Right.
Try to warn people to get off the bridge, and others
he was trying to tell them the bridge was going to collapse, and other people think that he caused the
collapse. So they think that has a lot of correlation to the Peri, because of, they're not sure. They're not quite sure what it is.
Is he hero? Is he friend? Is he foe?
But I again, it was a pretty short one, but I just thought those were cool stories about him. I'm excited.
That's the kind of stuff that always fascinates me.
Right.
It's like most of those are like religious tales, and that's kind of what makes those old religions kind of fascinating to me. Of like, a lot of it was, you could tell, was just them trying to explain the way the world works. Right? We don't know why there's a day and night. Right. But maybe it's because these wolves are chasing the sun and the moon around, and that's how we have the change of day.
I think if I had to pick, dude, I would love to be in like the time era where like Norse mythology was bumping, like people believed.
Yeah, you'd like to just be raided and killed in the 800s?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. I'd be doing the killing.
No, you wouldn't.
No. But
You'd be cowering. Please, sir.
Sir, as God is my witness. But yeah, no, I thought that was really cool. But if you had any more interesting facts about the sun or the moon or wolves chasing them, you can definitely let us know. It's simply mailbag@gmail.com. But Colin, what do you even think about?
So I'm still working my way through Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I've got it on the hardest difficulty I mentioned last week, and it is still kicking my ass. I played chapter 5, I think, or chapter 6, whichever chapter it is.
Sure.
I got the first real boss fight where you fight the village chief.
Whooped your ass.
I mean, oh yeah, like I died.
You were spanked.
I told Morgan, I was like, oh man, because at the end of every chapter you get like a chapter summary, and it'll tell you like how accurate you were, how many times you were, how many enemies you killed, how accurate you were, how many times you died, and then how many times you took damage. I took damage 22 times, I was like, oh, okay. But in the hard mode, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't take much to kill you. I died 18 times.
Holy piss.
And I was like, I got to level with you. I didn't think I did that bad.
Feel like
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I didn't think I did that bad. God damn. But I did. I literally had to we watched Tetris last night. And then I was like, all right, I got to take another crack at this guy. And I loaded it up. First time back in, I got him. And I was like, I just needed a break. I was getting too locked
easy being
in.
greasy.
Yeah, it ain't easy being me, baby girl. And then I got to get caught up on The Mandalorian. I'm way behind.
So do I. I'm so fucking
Apparently,
behind.
Lizzo and Jack Black are in the most recent episode. And I don't know
which
how I
I
feel
hear
about
it.
that, but,
Yeah.
But I don't know the context because I ain't watched it. So I got to get caught up.
I hear a lot of mixed things.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people are saying like, that's cool, they played a cool part. Or people are excited that they're going to play a cool part. And then I hear that everyone just, it's like their names.
Yeah, they're
like,
just throwing names at it.
Yeah, why do they got to be?
Yeah.
They're just reaching out for different audiences.
Right.
And I was like, I can see that as well. So it just depends.
Yeah, because I can see that especially with Lizzo because she's so not in, Lizzo, she's a singer, right?
I can see Jack Black.
Yeah, Jack Black makes more sense. He's still a little bit of a, you got to be careful sprinkling Jack Black into anything because he can come off as just Jack Black.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, to the extent of, we didn't get to go see Super Mario, but I've seen like a specific clip on TikTok quite a bit.
I've been skipping past all of them.
It's literally Bowser singing a ballad about Peach. And it's like, that's just Jack Black stretching his singing.
That's cool with me.
Which is fine, right? But
it's
if you
Mario.
had somebody else playing Bowser, they wouldn't have done that.
Right.
Right. Which, is again, if you get Jack Black, you Jack Blackify him, and I don't know if that belongs in Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Right.
But, yeah, that's all I've been thinking about. I've been playing a lot of Resident Evil still.
I've really been thinking about fucking Minecraft lately.
Yeah.
Like, I still can't get it up. I think I've come to the conclusion.
They make pills for that.
Tried them.
I still can't get it up.
Still, like I tried the one with the rhino on it. I tried the one with the giraffe.
I tried the ones at the gas station.
I've taken multiple, past the legal limit, and nothing's happening. I went into cardiac arrest though. No, I forget what I was saying.
You can't get Minecraft to work.
Yeah, I can't get Minecraft to work at all, and I've just come to the conclusion that I will in fact have to
just buy it again,
create a new account. So, Microsoft, you listen to this shit.
Fuck you.
Help me out. Yeah, just give me the game. Yeah. Just help me. That's all I'm asking. I have the game already. Just let me download it and play it. That's all I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a whole ass different computer.
Yeah, and it still won't let me
which
do
tells
it.
us that it's something
the
on
account.
your account.
Yeah,
somehow.
So I'm just gonna, which sucks though, because we're not gonna, at least on my end, we're not gonna have the worlds that we did, and we built a dope ass lighthouse.
Well, those were all on my side.
Would I still be able to join that world?
Yeah, you wouldn't have your inventory, but you'd be able to join them.
But also, I feel like we haven't played that in so long.
Yeah.
I would just want to create a new world.
We just start over,
and we're gonna mod the fuck out of that bitch.
Oh yeah.
But that's all I've been thinking about.
All right. Well, then again, we want to thank you guys so much for your attention and support. If you guys enjoyed the episode, be sure to give it a great review. Tell your friends about us. Word of mouth, obviously, is a big old helper. Make sure you're liking, following, subscribing on your audio streaming service of choice. That way you're getting notified whenever we post. Usually in the wee hours of the Wednesday, but, somewhere between noon and 8 or midnight and 8 seems to be when we're hitting the pocket.
You're gonna hit what in my pocket?
You heard me, right in the pocket. Chris, if people want to get in touch with us, give us some feedback, ask us questions, how would they do that?
Yeah, of course. You can always take a look at us on, Instagram, Facebook. It's going to be Simply Whelmed Podcast. Our Twitter handle is whelmed_simply. You can always send us an email, suggestions, story to reads, video games to talk about, movies to watch.
Yeah.
Undying love for the, religion of the whelmed. And just let us know at simplywhelmedmailbag@gmail.com.
Yeah. Well, next week for real, we're going to go see Super Mario Brothers.
It's me. Mario.
And the final season of Barry is premiering on Sunday. So we might do a double header.
Dude, I'm so fucking excited. Dude. I see so much shit about Barry on my TikTok all the time.
I get a lot of movie clips over top of like Subway surfers.
So do I. Dude, so do I.
I just get a lot of like,
I get so sucked into them too.
I've got Forrest Gump going like, he's so smart, Jenny, and then it's just fucking someone cutting soap beneath it, Yeah, that's a good movie, Or like I literally got one that was soap cutting or like the kinetic sand, and it was beneath the fucking Superman from Iron Giant, and I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, how bad is our attention span that you've got to give me something to look at while I'm looking at a fucking movie clip?
Yep.
That's not good.
I always thought they did that for copyright reasons.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But those videos do better.
Really?
Yeah. Like, those videos perform better on, like, as far as algorithmically.
I always prefer just seeing the clip.
Yeah. But some people are down bad. And then there's literally those junk accounts that just are an AI reading a Reddit thread while someone's doing Minecraft parkour.
Yep.
You're like, what is this?
I always get those, and I hate them, but love them so much.
Yeah, like I double tap them and then go, why is this all I fucking get?
My TikTok has been dry of like quality memes. It's just been shit.
Yeah.
So I gotta try to fuck around with the algorithm.
Yeah. Yeah, I either get like, I've got some dry spells where it's like, man, TikTok's stupid now.
But those spells are wet. They're wet.
And then sometimes I'm just getting like people full on flashing themselves.
Yep.
And you're like, how is this happening?
How is this allowed?
I'm going to double tap it because I've got a pulse.
TikTok got banned in Florida.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. I think...
That's not all they're banning in Florida, but we won't go there.
No, it's not. But they banned it, I think, in like all campuses, like college campuses in the state of Florida.
Rock on.
You cannot have a TikTok. But that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's like... How does that tread on me? How does that kind of work?
That's the end of the show, Chris. Tell everybody bye.
Bye.